let me just say this real quick. I had a couple. Everything good? Um, if you guys seen the emails that well, not the emails, but a post that I released yesterday. Um, a lady by the name of Donita Martin. I don't know her personally. I've never met her before in my life, and um, I her son um, Lorenzo, was killed over in the Chop area in Seattle. There's a big thing about the Chop area, and uh, Horace is the person that I dealt with, which was the father of Lorenzo. She is the mother. So Horace got in contact with me, and he said, "Man, I can't get no help. My brother's been killed, and no one's helping me.
My son.
My son has been killed, and no one's helping me." So I said, "I'm going to help you. Don't worry about it." So at the time, Fox News had reached out to me, and they wanted to do an interview because of some of the work that I had been doing in Washington State. And so I thought I would use this opportunity to put Horace and give him some national attention about what happened to his son over in the Chop area in Seattle. So that's what I did. And when I set everything up, Donita, his ex, was supposed to be at the first, uh, you know, at the first, broadcast. And she decided, from what Horace told me, that she was going to go on a hair appointment instead. So that's what happened. She went on a hair appointment, and he came, and they did the interview at my house. And that was the first time that we were on Fox News, right? And Hannity said it was one of his greatest shows. He never even took a commercial break because Horace was showing how devastated he was as a black father. And I think it moved people, right? Because when we got on there, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't about politics, right? That this was about a situation that happened to a man that loved his son, and it was beautiful the way Horace explained, you know, what he was going through and how he felt, and he teared up, and it was just a real moving, broadcast. You guys should see it if you haven't seen it. So from that point, he has national exposure. You had thousands of people reaching out to him, Republican, Democrat, white, black, whatever, reaching out to him because they felt touched by his interview. And from that point, we began to maneuver about trying to get some justice for him in his son's situation, about trying to get an attorney and all that. Well, probably the reason why he contacted me because he knew I had represented many families that had lost loved ones due to police violence. Now, I'm not going to make it too long because a lot of you know the story, but I want to point out some specifics, right? So my brother got killed, Shay Taylor, in 2016, right? February 21st. I found out about it when I was in Los Angeles. And on the 22nd, I was on a plane back up to Seattle, Washington, because I wanted to deal with this situation, right? Before I had came to Seattle, I had already done national media. I'd done the Montel Williams show. I've done Trinity Broadcasting Network a couple of times, and, I was already giving seminars to people coming home from prisons, in treatment centers. And so I was already doing things in the community. And when I was on TBN, I was just really telling my story and what I had been through, that I had come out the lifestyle, that my mom and my dad was in the lifestyle, and just kind of telling my story of how I was at the place where I was at the time, right? And they thought it was extremely interesting and asked me to come back even again, right? So those are the things that I was doing before I came up to Seattle to fight for my brother, right? So when I got here, of course, I had some experience dealing with media because I had done a lot of media stuff, right? And so I took to it extremely fast about how I felt I wanted to address the situation. I had known that in our communities, we had been defeated so often by law enforcement, even though we see somebody getting killed on television, we could see it with our own eyes, but they still get off. And so we never understood what was going on. So what I did is got some powerful attorneys that kind of knew this, not kind of knew the system, but knew the system, knew the problem in our state, and they were explaining to me that Seattle had the worst law in the nation, and it was kind of hard for me to believe because I know Seattle is supposed to be one of the most progressive cities in the nation, and so I was like, the state of Washington it has the worst law, and I wanted to figure out why, and they explained to me that in our law, that before we can hold a police officer accountable, we had to prove that he had malice. And I was like, well, what's that? Well, we had to prove what he was thinking in his mind at the time of the killing. And I was like, this is impossible. And they said, that's the point. In Seattle, in Washington State, no matter how bad a police officer's behavior is, we cannot hold him accountable. And they gave me a scenario, what happened to a man named John T. Williams, who was a native Carver. And they was like, a police officer named N. Burke shot him in the back with like 4 or 5 seconds, right? And even though the police found that he had violated police policy, we could not hold him accountable, right? Because malice. Because within our law, there's this malice clause. And that means that malice gave every police officer a de facto immunity, right? And what does that mean? That means that before there can be any investigation, we had to first cross this barrier of malice. And so malice was like a protection, like a shield, right? You had to get past this shield before you can do anything else, and no one can get past the shields. For over 35 years, not one officer in this state has ever been convicted of a deadly shooting. One officer was charged, and of course he got out because of that shield of malice written in our law, right? So again, let me say, in this state, no matter how bad a police officer's behavior was, we could not hold him accountable, right? Because there was malice written in our law, you see? So when I start understanding what the problem was, I said, you know what? What I want to do is I want to give some meetings for the community and politicians and law enforcement to come together, because I want these people to explain to the community exactly what's going on, right? I felt like there needed to be an education process, so I started giving these weekly meetings at we used to call it the SOIC back in the day, right? So I started giving these weekly meetings for that purpose, to educate the community about what our law says, because most people didn't even know what our law said. Right. So we started giving these meetings, and they got extremely big. And of course, that led into running an initiative. And I'm really giving you a short story, right? An initiative. And long story short, I was able to lead a movement in getting the law changed and making Washington State the first state with a police accountability law, right? And of course, we involved like 21 different organizations, from Native tribes to the LGBT community, from disability rights. I mean, 21 different organizations, from unions. We had the support from so many people. And then that led to getting support from politicians, you know, from the mayor and from all of city council, and then, you know, the governor. And so it became so big, right, that everybody got on board. And so we won, right? So after that win, now these are short stories because within that there's so much detail, but I don't want to go into that. But I'm trying to make some points here. Now, when I got here, I already knew that people was going to look at me because of my background, right? Because my mom was in the lifestyle. My father was in the lifestyle of pimping and hoeing. When I grew up, I was born from that lifestyle, right? And I end up getting into the lifestyle when I was older as well, right? Went to federal trial, you know, end up going to federal prison, and, you know, end up doing a movie called American Pimp, from Hollywood filmmakers, the Hughes brothers, who made The Book of Eli with Denzel Washington, who made From Hell with Johnny Depp, who made Menace to Society, Dead Presidents, you know, real professional filmmakers. And they wanted to do this documentary because their father had been in the life, and they kind of wanted to do an expose of what this life was all about. And so they end up hiring me to help them. So I got credits on the film to this day as a technical advisor, and I went about getting guys for the film because I told them I wanted to give them a bottom-up perspective of the lifestyle, because there's so many different levels. Okay. So that's what happened. But what I knew is that people would always look at me and judge me for my past. That was something normal to me, right? I knew that I wasn't going to allow that to stop me in any capacity, right? So when I came up here to fight for my brother, that's exactly what happened. The majority of the people in the community was like, who is this guy? This guy is a pimp. He trafficked women, and they start to saying I traffic young girls and just all kind of stuff, right? Because there was a young girl in my case, right? So, but that was like damn near 20 years at the time. I hadn't been in that life in all that time. And as a matter of fact, I was married probably up at that time around 18, 19 years or something like that. I was married that long, right? So I hadn't been in the lifestyle nor participated in any capacity in the lifestyle. But I knew that that's what people were going to say, and that's what they did, right? So no one really believed in my genius and what my abilities were, because they always said that this guy is a pimp, right? It wasn't that he was a pimp, that he is a pimp, right? And so but that worked in my favor because they could never prepare for my genius, right? So the fact that they couldn't prepare for my genius, I was able to challenge and utilize things to help me overcome, which I did, right? And we end up winning. So that's there. So let me just say this. Let me get right to the point. So I never understood what people felt that I did to them, right? What did Seattle feel that I'd done to them, especially our black community? It wasn't just them, but I'm saying, I was wondering, what did I do? Because, I got $100,000 from the city to do a community meeting for our community. I called it Conversations with the Streets, where I brought in black professionals and black leaders from all over the country, right? And brought them here to Seattle to empower our community. I brought people here that people will probably only see online or TV, but I brought them here. And when I brought them here, I gave the meetings at City Hall, right? And I brought the community, and what I did for the community is make sure that they had an incredible experience. So I spent thousands of dollars to make sure that when they came there, that they had catered meals, right? Sometimes we even gave like raffles, like we would give $1,000 as the first prize. We give like $500 as the second prize, like $300 or something for the third prize or something like that, right? So we would try to do and make things interesting to make people come so that they can hear these powerful men and women that we were bringing in from all over the country, from New York, from everywhere, right? We brought Tamika Mallory, we brought Judge Joe Brown, we brought Rizza Islam. I mean, we brought people from all different backgrounds that were considered some type of leaders in our community, and I brought them here. And I wanted our community in Seattle to have a great experience, to be able to hear the information that these brothers and sisters were bringing, to be able to be treated great, by having catered meals, not no lunch meals, right? So we got catered meals, and to sometimes, give some raffles to bless people, to bless people, right? And that's what we did. And then we brought other people in the community that were doing work that we wanted to give some exposure to. So we brought other people in the community, and wanted to give them some shine. Listen, this person is doing this in the community, and I want you to support them. Okay, these people over here are doing this in the community. I want you to support them. Okay, so we did that, right? Oh, okay, so that part. So I want you to understand that's what we did, right? And so the next thing we did was the CHOP situation where Lorenzo was killed. The city didn't know what to do with it. So the mayor called me and asked me, would I help her? Why would she call me? Because I already had the success of building helping build the largest people of color coalition in the history of Washington State. She had seen me already do the impossible. So if anybody's can help her, she felt like I could, right? So I told her, if you want to use, my gifts in any kind of capacity, my talents, if you want to use any of that I had to work for and build for, then I'm not going to give you that for free, right? Because I know the city pays people all the time for their support and for their genius. White people are paid all the time. It's a part of the system, have budgets for certain things, right? So I told her what I would expect in order to help in this situation. So she did what I asked. I said I wanted $150,000 and I wanted an office and this, that, and the other. And she said, no problem. So then when that happened, I went out to CHOP and wanted to speak to the people out there and try to let them know. And I had meetings with some people who were supposed to be CHOP leaders, right? In which they recorded me. I didn't even know they were recording me at the time, right? So what I was telling the people at CHOP is, listen, I have the mayor that's willing to sit down and speak with you guys. But I was telling them, listen, I don't want you to think of CHOP as a place, CHOP as an idea, that you can take that idea all over this world, right? Don't minimize CHOP to a place, right? And I said, and I'll be willing to support and help you with some platforms that you can get on, because by that time I had had interviews from the New Yorker and I mean people from all over television. So I had opportunities to get people some exposure, and I told them I will help you, try to get your messaging out, right? But we have an issue with this area, So they recorded that, right? And I was telling them the mayor is willing to give you guys something to help in what your plight is. I said, you can ask for $1 million, $2 million. You can put something together to distribute that amongst community, and you'll be a hero in our community. So I was telling them, I can make that happen where I can get you guys a meeting with the mayor, and you can ask her, what you need to help what you feel you want to do with the community, right? So, okay, that happened, right? And so from that happening, people started saying that somehow I robbed Seattle. And I was wondering, well, how do they feel I robbed Seattle? When Dove and I first came here, nobody believed in us. Dove and I used our own money. No one believed in our plight, right?
But not just that, babe. When the mayor, the governor, or anybody has advisors, those advisors are paid.
Right.
Whether they're attorneys, legal advisors, whatever type of an advisor, if you are advising someone and they are utilizing the information that you're giving them, right, and it's public, it's only right for you to get paid to advise somebody. Mm-hmm. Why in the world? Because you guys consider this black man who had a freaking past, and you think that just because he had a past that he's ignorant? Like somehow he doesn't deserve to get paid for his information that he's given to help our community? That's what the bad part about that is, right? That you guys would label a person because of their past that they no longer had a connection with, uplifting our community, change laws in this community that helped every race, right? And led that and included, the reason why we won is because we included everybody, right? We didn't single anybody else. We were not out. We were not prejudiced, right? We included everybody and we won. That came with black excellence and intelligence. And it's sad that this community in the state of Washington, especially our black people in the city of Seattle, cannot support that. Now we have a law where people can act, where police officers can actually be prosecuted for wrongful killing, and you guys cannot even appreciate and don't even know where that came from. And to this day, bash a person that has changed laws. They have changed themselves. You guys do not want to give them any type of redemption. You want to keep crucifying somebody. And it's sad because you guys cannot reap the benefits from that. And it's really sad. So we get these messages from people, from black people who are upset because they didn't get to benefit financially from something, right? And that was not our fault. That was your fault. That was your fault that you chose to go do something else instead of represent your son, right? That's your fault. That you did not, that you thought something else was more important than your son. And to the people in the city of Seattle, it's your fault that you were looking for the perfect person to represent the Black community. There is no perfect person. Whatever somebody did when they were younger, they did that, you know? And it just blows my mind that we did not receive any support from the Black community until they felt like, oh, well, you know, he's really doing something. And then at the end, churches and people wanted to start, you know, coming on board, you know, when they saw things moving. And we understand the fear, but when we had an assignment, we carried that assignment out irregardless of if we had the support or not. This city is the only city where your own people don't support you. We had more white people supporting us than Black people.
To this day.
In
this city, not around the country.
In this city, right? It was disappointing, but when you have an assignment, you cannot stop and worry about where a group of people are at. You have to continue to move in operation so that you can set an example of what could be done. And even after it was done, people were still trying to bring him down. They were still trying to bring him down. This socialized mind out here in the state of Washington, in the city of Seattle, is absolutely horrible. And if people could really, really stop and take a look at themselves and where they're at, because you think you so woke up here in the city of Seattle, you are not.
And we're
socialized death.
Yeah, we're not here for perfect people.
Yeah.
We're here to help unperfect people. For all you perfect people, our messaging is not for you. We're not here to help perfect people. We're not.
But we did it anyway.
Right.
Even though we weren't sitting back saying, oh, you know, we ain't going to do this because you don't support us and we don't want you to benefit. Because if we thought like that, then the work would have never got done. Mm-hmm. We went forward because we love everybody and our people. And we couldn't stop to look at some little petty issue because we would have never got the work done. We would leave that up to you guys, right? That's why so many people attempted to do this work before we got up here and it failed. It never went through because it was all about me, my community, you know, that victim mentality. We didn't come up here with a victim's mentality. We came up here to do the work. Right? And nobody else wanted to help and get on board. But we didn't need that. We just continued with the information that we had, irregardless of the lack of support. And we just continued further because the support that we needed was given.
Yeah, but we're trying to figure, I've always tried to figure out, I mean, I don't focus on it, but since Donita Martin wanted to come up and say what she said, you know, and she said I used her son? How? I gave that situation that Horace came to me and said no one was helping him. And he called me and I said, bro, I'm going to help you. Guess what? Through my help, you know, there were financial benefits that he got through my resources, through people that I knew that blessed him and his family. I'm not going to go into detail. I'll let him decide that. But, you know, thousands of dollars. Guess what? After they won the wrongful death lawsuit, because of the exposure that we gave him, guess what he kept trying to say to me? Horace, man, Dre, can I do something for you? Guess what I said to him? It's insulting for me for you to think that you can do. I'm doing this because I'm helping our people. You can never give me nothing. And you know what? Every single family, every single one of those families that we supported, we paid for every single thing. We paid for the marches, the rallies, the t-shirts, everything. We never asked one family for one dime. Nobody.
Right.
Nobody. Never. When my brother won that wrongful death lawsuit, $1.5 million, I know the work we put in. I was happy when it went directly to his 2 kids and his mom. We didn't get 1 cent and wouldn't even accept 1 cent from that.
You didn't even accept any money from your own brother's death.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The
Yeah.
$1.5 million.
Yeah, I thought you meant Horace. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the $1.5
Yeah.
million that Shay won.
Right.
It went to the children and
It
his
went to
mom.
the kids.
So we didn't accept one penny. No one out there in Seattle can say that we have asked for one penny from anybody. So what are you? The only people we didn't ask, we said, if you want my help, if you want me to consult you in any capacity, this is what it's going to cost in order for you to do that. And people are looking at me because our people have so much low self-esteem and don't know their place in life because we've been so beat that we operate like victims. That's all we operate like. To the point that when they see me operating like a conqueror, like I know who I am, they automatically said he think he's all that. Well, if you operating with a system and you don't know who you are, you're not going to get nowhere with them. You can rest assured that. If you have anything in you where you have any feeling of a lack of efficiency within yourself, you ain't going to get no way with them. You will not. Which one?
We don't have a slave mentality. We ain't working for free labor over here. You know,
And we want you guys not to work.
Exactly.
Because
Want you
all
to
white
have the
people have
same
done
mentality.
throughout the many years is want your genius for free while they pay their people.
Right.
That it happens to this day in business and nonprofits. That's why you see a lot of the money have gone to white organizations trying to help our condition.
You see our people taking jobs, not making no money, just giving them their work, trying to show them their worth. Why? You know your worth. You know what you can do. Go in and get what you know you deserve.
Right.
We're not going to stand by and continue. Do you know how long my husband gave his information to the governor, the mayor, the chief of police, and everybody without getting paid? Who do you think was out there on the line giving information and helping these people deal with our communities? Things were changing, and because people's focus was on the wrong thing, they couldn't even see and appreciate the change that was going on.
Yeah, because they couldn't
even see it.
They stuck back over 25 years ago of what I did 25 years ago, and I've been married for 25 years. And sometimes it's not for me, but it's offensive. It's like my wife is here, like somehow she don't exist. I'm a pimp right now, but I've been married 25 years.
And Danita gonna have the audacity to go on the internet and write, "I hope you don't let this pimp be the head of this." Pimp? You just gonna disrespect me like that online? But what you really doing is disrespecting yourself because it's showing where you're at, right? Because see, we know the story. That's why we here right now, right? Because like he put, cry loud, spare not. You think that we just gonna continue to allow you guys to go on social internet and bash? When we got the information, you don't, because that stuff you talking about that you putting out there is some little childish stuff, right? Mm-hmm. It's the same thing you was doing when you were supposed to be here for your son's interview on the news, and you didn't show up because you needed to get your hair done, right? So then you go on here and bash and don't even appreciate what was done
for your son.
For your son, rest in peace.
For your son.
For your son. It wasn't about you. It was about your son, right? So when you come on social media and you want to try to bash somebody, like we always say, bring the receipts, because you the one going to be on there looking crazy.
Because we do have the receipts. You can
Most
say
definitely.
Anything you want to say,
Most
but
definitely.
we got the receipts. Even Christ says, if you don't believe me, believe the work. So you guys can say in Seattle anything you want to say. He was a pimp. He did that and the other. And guess what? They tried to slander me so bad when I was doing the work that people went to the media and they were going online saying he trafficked children. And they went to the mayor when she hired me as the street czar, this organization that deals with prostitution and all that, human trafficking and all that. They went back and said that I trafficked children. Well, guess what? Guess what happened? As the Most High would have it, the same person that they said I trafficked, she was observing all of the stuff that was going on, and it sickened her because she said that they were trying to use her to destroy me, right? So she went on the news. and she set the record straight right here in Seattle and told people that, listen, first of all, I lied to this man about how old I was. Not only did I lie to him, you guys will keep saying that all these things happen to girls in this. She said, I'm sure that a lot of those things did happen to some girls, but that wasn't my story. That didn't happen to me. Right? So most people come out the woodwork and confirm what all these rumors are. This woman, who's now about 40 years old, came out, right? Because she hated that those people were using her with lies, slandering, trying to destroy me. You guys can go look it up. Go look it up. It was on Q13, right? With Brandy Cruz. You feel me? So all those things, that's how God does it. Because people are mad because of what I did in the past. Okay, I embrace it. I'm not running from it. I did it. And you know what? The people, I said I'm not here for perfect people. So people wonder, why do I talk about my past? Because it's mine to talk about. I lived it. I went through it. I went to prison. It's mine to talk about. That's my testimony.
Right. And we're going to make sure that when you talk about it, you putting it in its right context.
So I'm not going to try to reach the people you trying to reach. I know the people I'm going to reach, and I know I have to relate to them. So of course I talk about my past, because you know what? It wasn't all bad, because I learned some great things from the experiences. You're supposed to learn through going through experiences of life. How else do you learn? You think you just learn from books? Well, what do you think came first? Did the book or the experience comes first? The experience came first. Even in that Bible, the book didn't come first. The experience came first. Men walk with God, right? Told their experiences of what they learned walking with the Most High, and then it became a book. So the experience comes first. So for anybody to suggest that I didn't gain and learn knowledge and information from my experiences, they're asinine, right? And I talk about it. Because people seem to, because of where I come from, right, want me to walk around all the days of my life with my head down. Well, I've done my time and I paid whatever I had to pay, and I'm not walking with my head down, right? God chose that womb of that woman for me to be birthed up out of. He chose that condition for me to be birthed up out of. So no matter how you look at it, no matter how you look at me, I'm unconcerned, because our people are more unforgiving of our people than you are of what white systems have done to our people for 400 years. But you're going to forgive them, right? But when it's a black man, you want to destroy him, because I won't bow down, because I won't walk with my head down and with my lip poked out. No, because I feel empowered. And then I go do and show that through my information and my feeling of empowerment, what I've been able to achieve. Donita said, you need to go get a job. Had anybody taught you how to work? Well, my job is teaching.
He got a whole bunch of jobs.
Yeah, my job is teaching. This shit, won't you go rap? You upset because I can do what I want to do, right? Because I have the information to live my life the way that I want to. I can do what I want to do, not what I can do, right? And so you look at that and you try to downplay that because I'm able to do exactly what I want to do, right? So I do got a job. Right? You know what my job is right now? Teaching. You know why? Because black men and black women see the receipts of my life, see my information, and they're willing to come to class and pay for class for me to teach them what they see with their own eyes. We ain't talking about what nobody talking about, right? Because you might be going to fight to get guns off the street, but I've been fighting and have the receipts of the success of what I've done.
For a long time.
You see what I'm saying? So what they see is the receipts. You can tell a million years what you're trying to do. So people pay for my classes, and that takes care of my family extremely well, and we're grateful for that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So just because you think only a job is working for the system, you categorize working when you work for the system, but you don't know the brilliance of a black man that can create his own future, right? That can create his own life, right? Because that's entrepreneurial. Right. So why wouldn't somebody want to come to me when they keep seeing the receipts of success? Right? Yeah. So
people hate so hard because they don't have nothing else to do. It's just like when you online and somebody has a page online or on Instagram, and all you see is some people on there with these negative comments, but yet every time the person posts something, they on there.
Yeah.
They looking, they watching, they gonna watch the whole thing. If it's an hour long, they watching it. Because people are jealous haters. And really, they really wish they had what you had. That's why we just continued forward. There's always going to be negativity, always. But when you take the time to sit and write and share something you feel about somebody that you have no inkling about, you just don't have no life. And you don't have no information. And we know that.
And then they jealous because Dove and I continues to shine as a black couple.
We don't stop.
We continue to show what it looks like to have come from the streets, to have stayed together through whatever, right? To show the strength of what it is to be a black couple in America. A successful story, 25 years. Sure, I was in the game. Sure, I used to be a pimp. But the amount of years that I've been married is 4 times the time that I was a pimp. 4 times the time. I've been married way longer than I was a pimp.
It just goes to show you how horrible jealousy is. The word says jealousy is as cruel as the grave. And when the way people are jealous, our black people are jealous of one another, and so jealous that they don't care if somebody is dead, what their words do, what they do to people's families and all that kind of stuff. People don't care because jealousy doesn't think. Jealousy acts and reacts, right? So when they do something, later on they might think, man, I shouldn't have did that. But at the moment when that jealousy reacts, that jealousy is capable of anything, any and everything, even death. That's why you have to be careful out here on these streets. Because people don't care. They don't care about your life. They don't care about their own. People like that don't even care about their own life.
Look, I don't go around promoting all the things that we have done for people. Because we don't do it. And I'm talking about people that we've helped. We've helped many people. People when they were losing their business and during COVID, we've helped families. I mean, this is who we are. Right. And remember, we didn't ask one dime from anybody. And all the work that we've done, we've only given, right? From our community meetings, right? To we gave Northwest Kidney Center like $60,000, $60,000 over a period of time, right? Because because I was on dialysis while I was fighting. Everybody didn't know that while I was fighting for police accountability, you guys didn't know that I was fighting for my own life at the same time. Only Dove knew. And
they didn't care.
Yeah, only Dove knew.
They didn't care. That's the thing.
Yeah, only Dove knew and was so concerned about me as a person, right? And she was like, well, baby, you're pushing yourself. She was so worried about me. But I said, I got to go fight, honey. Our people need it. And I'm fighting, going to dialysis 3 times a week, 3.5 hours every time in those chairs, fighting for my life and fighting for the community at the same time. And the black people in Seattle still don't care and never appreciated none of the work that I did because all they can say, this guy was a pimp or he's still a pimp, right? So nobody know. I mean, so we were concerned that during COVID that, some of the dialysis patients might not have been able to get food and stuff. So we wanted to make sure that at least we are providing a means for them to be able to go get some food. So we would go and one time we partnered with the city. The city gave us $10,000, matching our money that we were giving them. One time we partnered with Safeway. They gave us $10,000. But, we was already given $10,000, so that the people could be assured that during this COVID that they can go to the store and get a gift card and get some food or what they need, right? But that was who we are.
And we were doing for schools, but we don't have to broadcast everything.
I'm just saying.
People, when they talk, they just don't know what's going on, right?
Yeah.
And you go out there and you run your mouth. That's what happens, though, with people who are jealous. They don't know what people are doing. They don't know the days in and days out of people's lives and what they're contributing to the city or the state or whatever. You don't even know. That's why it was when this opportunity came up to be on the news about social workers accompanying police officers on on calls, it's important because
I know
that's
it
the
was.
work that we've been doing,
Yeah.
right? And so, of course, they're gonna call and want to hear from the person who headed police accountability in this state.
So watch also with the Manuel Ellis case, right? I know a lot of people behind the scenes they're working and all that, but do you know that the governor's people called me? That's just one incident. Just want to show you behind the scenes stuff, right? And I'm talking publicly so they can verify what I'm saying, right? They called me and asked, what should they do? I told the governor's people, what you need to do to show that you are engaged in community matters, that people can have some trust, is that you need to take the investigation out of the hands of the Pierce County Sheriff Department. And so they came and said to me, well, they've been investigating for a while. I said, I don't care how long they've been investigating. You have to take this investigation out of their hands and give it to the Attorney General, Bob Ferguson, right? So they act like they didn't want to do it. Guess what? A couple of days later, they called me back and said the governor's going to follow through on what you told him to do. See what I'm saying? So you guys don't even understand how far the Most High had me up there counseling people and giving people, the major people behind the scenes, advice and information. There's many people that called me in powerful positions and asked how they should move forward. Why shouldn't they though? They already seen the receipts and they respect the work. You black people, most of you, not every one of them, because we had some few people, but in comparison to the amount of black people in Seattle who just hate it, it's not even no competition, right? But they don't know all the work that we did behind the scenes, the credibility that we garnered. You know what I'm saying? But Donita says all this stuff, and she doesn't even understand that all the powerful people in the world, in the white system that you guys look up to, they looked up to me, and they wanted my counsel, right? And I gave them my counsel, right? Because they respected my brilliance. It's our people that can't benefit from my information because you think it's nothing. And that's okay, right? But that's not people around the country. That's not black people in other cities and other states. They got major respect. It is people here in Seattle with the hate towards me in particular because they can't get past the fact that I was in the lifestyle, right? Can you get past the fact that Malcolm X was in the lifestyle? When you think about Malcolm X, do you say that he was a pimp? Do you hold that against him? Well, do you think that Malcolm X's story is a story that would give people in the streets that were in my condition hope that I can change my life, right? You think his story is not impactful enough to know that you can come from being a pimp to being a statesman like Malcolm X? But yet you look at me and all the work that I've been able to do, and you don't think that's inspirational for people in our community? Well, maybe not in Seattle, but all over this country, it's inspirational to them, right? Right? But what you do, you got the narrative of the system. Donita's talking like the white system that always try to denigrate the black man in any capacity that they can. You're talking like them. You're not talking like us that's saying that, listen, you can overcome and achieve anything because we've had other leaders that have done it. So I'm not somebody that you're looking at like you would look at Malcolm X, because probably at the time Malcolm X wasn't looked at like he's looked at now. So probably later on down the line, when I make my transition, black people in the Seattle will try to claim me. Oh man, we knew this. We were supportive of him and all this kind of stuff. That is the sickness of our people and why we continue to be in the situation we in. But my classes, I call the remnant because I'm not trying to reach everybody.
Right. We never did.
No, I'm reaching the remnant, those that can hear, because there's got to be a separation in our communities at some point.
Most definitely.
Yeah. I like Avon said, my past does not exclude my present.
Right. That's right.
You know, I'm here as a representative for anybody that come out them trenches and anybody that come out them streets. I don't care how, because one thing for certain, they know Dre don't judge them. So when they come to me, they come knowing that, listen, one thing for sure, we ain't got to worry about Dre looking at us like white folks look at us.
Right.
Right. And one thing for sure, Dre is one of us.
Yep.
If he could do it, we can. That's why my story is inspirational for people in the streets. That's who I come to reach. Remember, I was a street czar. They mad at me because I was. Who else you gonna name a street czar? I come from the streets.
First of all, you ain't gonna be able to get no white man to go sit up underneath some of the gang members in the community,
And not just
bring
gang members.
two of them together and go in the streets, go up in CHOP, go up in these neighborhoods and try to talk to our people. It's not gonna happen.
So people say, well, you have no link to our community. I'm born in Seattle. You might believe that. Did I need to have a link in the community as you suppose for me to get the job done? I still got the job done regardless of whatever link you didn't think I had in the community. You seem to be overlooking the great work that God used me, a man that came from a pimp and a prostitute, a man who was a pimp, right? But a man that has been here for 25 years showing what it looks like to have a black family, black love, and success no matter where I came from. But that seems to be overlooked all the time, right?
Our people were, particular black organizations in Seattle were angry, and they never wanted to come to our meetings, and they hated because, like I said, they had been trying to do things in the community themselves along the lines of police accountability and all these other areas that we just came in and just start working and things just start moving. Sometimes the thing is not for you to do. Sometimes the Most High knows what it's going to take for that thing to get done, right? Because obviously if he wanted you to do it, it would have been done. But instead of coming together, they wanted to stay separate. And then they wanted to hate and downplay and throw stones and rocks at him and what we were trying to do in the city instead of coming together. Because that's what we do out here. We don't come together. We separate ourselves and segregate ourselves because that's what y'all used to. And y'all keep doing it. That's why you guys were never able to get nowhere, because there was zero unity. Every time we went to a black organization meeting, we went to everybody's meeting. We didn't care. We wanted to get to know the black community and the organizations. And
the
we
Native community, the Latino, we went to every
But
community.
first, it was our people, the organizations. What have you guys been doing in the community? What have you guys been trying to do? What can we do to help? What do you guys need? You know, what's going on? Every time we went to a meeting, it was an issue with his past. Some girl would be triggered. For what? You know, just silly stuff. The mind and how it just goes left. It just goes to a whole nother arena. Instead of focusing on what we trying to do and coming together for the greater good, it was always an issue.
Why are you not triggered?
It's so crazy.
Since you're so consumed with people's past, right? Not what they are, not what they become. What are you triggered by white people? Can you be in a room with white people? They have the worst past of
in the history
as far as chattel slavery is concerned. How can you be in the room with white people, right, if you're concerned about past? Because are you not triggered by what their ancestors have done, feeding our babies to alligators, raping men, women, and children, right, enslaving us, doing all the imaginable evil things that the world could ever imagine through chattel slavery?
Yes.
Go look it up. Are you not triggered? But you're triggered by me. So you must be triggered by every black man in the community that's in those streets. And there's a lot of us.
Somebody with knowledge and intelligence.
Yeah. So are you triggered by the gang member?
Right.
No, because he didn't have any prostitutes, but he might have killed somebody. So now you're so because you sin different, right? You categorize me being in the game 25 years ago with a prostitute higher than a man that killed another man, than somebody who killed a man, right? So, but you're not triggered by them, but you triggered because I had some prostitutes.
The
right?
Triggering was ridiculous. The trigger could have been, we don't want men to speak too much. We want to give women the voice. But everybody's talking here. This is a community organization where people are coming together to resolve issues in the community. But now you want me to be quiet and let y'all speak. Just like the mentality out here is crazy.
Listen, the scripture says your gift will make room for you. You want to speak? Release your measure then. It'll make room for you.
Right.
Your gift will make room for you. And when we did have community, we brought other people that were doing work when we had our meetings. Come be a part of this because you're doing significant work. We want to make sure that people know what you're doing.
That's the beautiful thing about you, babe, because no matter what, in everything you did out here, you always brought people together. And I think that's the key. Always bringing black genius into the equation so we don't separate ourselves from what, like, there might be one thing you don't like about a person, but everything else they just speaking truth to power. But that one little thing keeps you from looking at that person, right? And that's sad.
Let me say this. One of the most important things, I'm going to give you this and we're going to get off, that I taught, that I operated in, right? Because people want to know some of the specifics of what allowed me to win. Well, I had an idea that I lived by. I don't have to agree with a person 100% of the time in order to build with them, right? And that gives me leverage to build with a lot of people. So even though I might have had some disagreements with the mayor, with the city, with the governor, that never prevented me to build with them. Because again, I don't believe I have to agree with a person 100% of the time in order to build with them, right? Mm-hmm. Do you agree with your mama 100% of the time? Your brother, your sister, your uncle? Mm-hmm. No. So why do you have to, as black people, we are like that, right? You disagree with somebody in one area and you don't want to mess with them ever again in life, hate them. Right? Well, you will never learn how to build. That's not how you build. So people was wondering how you can do this with police, how you can do this. And then they say I was a informant. How? You know, one of the other things, I looked at history and I said that we have been beat because of espionage, right? Because the system have learned how to penetrate our secrets. Mm-hmm. Right? From the Black Panthers, from the Nation of Islam, from whatever organization, they always penetrated our secrets. And I said, that's not the way to go. So when I started Not This Time, I decided to do something. I decided that everything I would do would be public. I would hide nothing. Whatever move I was going to make, whatever I was going to do, whatever I was thinking, I would say it publicly. Since I already know how the system operates and how they've had their success, I knew for a fact that they wouldn't have, what can they do? We're going to go in there and slip somebody in under Andre to find out his secrets. No, ain't no secrets because I'm going to tell you everything up front. So now what did I do? I took away whatever their greatest power was, because their greatest power was to reveal people's secrets. And they've done that before successfully, right? So I did the very opposite, right? I'm going to tell you ahead of time so I know that they've never developed a strategy against somebody who's open, right? But I'm an informant? How? I'm an informant even though police don't want me to stop them, to stop their mobility? How?
It just goes to show
that
they don't
ridiculous.
Know nothing that you did here.
They don't know what an informant is. They don't know what an informant is.
And they don't know nothing.
Have you ever heard of this? Because people might
Probably
say
ain't never even voted.
He was an informant because he worked with the police. We always say, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. Right? If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. If you're not respected enough to be at the table, well, you can allow people to know. That's what I was able to do. I was being at the table with people in high positions, right? Just like I told you about the governor's people calling me. That's being at the table.
They start doing that though.
How else? Yeah. How else can you influence change if you're not amongst people who are the decision makers? Mm-hmm. You have to be at the table. But I'm an informant because I'm at the table. That's just how ignorant our people are.
But black organizations in the community of Seattle, they would say, oh, you meeting with the mayor, you doing this, oh, you kissing the mayor's butt, oh, you doing this, that, and other. And what happened maybe about a year or two later, they was at the table, right? Because they realized
we showed them how
necessary.
To move. We showed people how to move. You know, again, I think that we've covered enough, right? Donita, Martin, it's unfortunate, you probably have some family members that come up out the streets. Are you triggered by them? Or is their sin better than mine? Is your personal sin better than mine? Because you sin different than somebody else. Is that what you're saying? And for all of you Donitas out there, Is that what you're saying? That your sin is different than anybody else's sin? Well, I'm not here for perfect people. I come to reach people from my community. Why would God bring me out and send me somewhere else to reach folks? He bring me out, send me right back to where my people are. And I'm comfortable being there, right? My music is my testimony. What else I'm going to talk about? I'm going to talk about surfing. I didn't surf. I talk about this game because that's what I did, right? And I want to get young folks' attention so that I can lead them somewhere, but I got to get their attention. You think you're going to go up in the hip hop community where a lot of our people are bound? How you going to reach them? Mm-hmm. The churches haven't reached them. The churches have lost whole generations.
Yes.
I got to go in with my own genius. Hell, you didn't trust the way I move with police accountability. You don't know how I'm going to move in the music. How could you? Anyway.
There's always going to be some Donitas. They ain't going nowhere.
All right, and there's always going to be some of us, too.
Yeah, and we ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, I love you.
I love you, babe.
25 years in this thing together. Black genius, black love, black families.
Yes.
We represent that. You know what I'm saying?
Guys. The people who did support us, we know who those people are.
Thank
and
you.
The ones we don't know, we appreciate you guys greatly. We're not talking about everybody as a whole. We're just talking about
on the most part.
On the most part, exactly.
Yeah.
But that needed to be addressed.
Yeah, we needed to address it. Again, we're going to keep shining, keep showing what it looks like, that you can come out them gutters and you can be blessed and keep shining.
Is we still shining?
We're going to still shine because the Lord said you're going to shine. I'll bring your righteousness forth as the noonday. We'll give you something to hate about. Just keep looking. You'll have some more to be angry about. All right.
All right.
Peace.